It was a crisp morning in Los Angeles when Angelina Jolie decided to take a stroll through the city. The streets were calm, and the air carried the fresh scent of dawn. She had just finished a meeting and was hoping to clear her head before the day's responsibilities took over. As she walked down a quiet street, her eyes fell on an older woman fumbling with her purse. A small leather wallet slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. Angelina, ever the helpful soul, quickly approached to pick it up and hand it back. However, just as she was about to reach the wallet, her attention was drawn to something else. A young boy, no older than 12, was standing a few feet away. He seemed out of place, his clothes shabby and his eyes distant. He looked uncomfortable, standing by the bustling street, but seemingly too shy to approach anyone. His face was pale, and his body language spoke of a deep unease. Angelina's instincts kicked in. She walked toward him and gently asked, "Hey, are you okay?" The boy startled slightly, looking up at her. His eyes were wide, full of pain and confusion. He looked around, then back at her, his lips trembling slightly. I'm, I'm hungry," he whispered. Before Angelina could respond, an elderly woman who had been walking nearby approached them. She had a worried expression and began speaking urgently to Angelina. "This boy, he doesn't have anywhere to go. His family is struggling, and he hasn't eaten in days." Angelina looked down at the boy, her heart aching at the sight of his thin, pale face. As she knelt to his level, the boy's eyes flickered with hope, a spark of life returning to him. "Can you help me?" he asked quietly, his voice barely audible. Angelina froze for a moment, caught off guard by the rawness of the request. She felt an overwhelming urge to help, but at that very moment, she wasn't sure how. Angelina felt the weight of the boy's eyes on her, his silent plea echoing in the stillness of the moment. It wasn't the first time she had encountered someone in need, but there was something different about this child, something that tugged at her heart in a way she hadn't expected. The desperation in his voice, the vulnerability in his posture, it all hit her hard. As she stood up, the boy hesitated for a moment, then spoke again, his voice more fragile this time. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. My mom's sick, and my dad, he can't work. Please, can you help me?" Angelina's mind raced. Her philanthropic work had always centered on helping the underprivileged, but this situation felt so personal. This was a child standing in front of her, a child who was living through unimaginable hardship. She knew she couldn't just walk away. Turning to the elderly woman, Angelina asked, "Where are his parents? Is there anything I can do?" The woman, who had been quietly observing the interaction, sighed deeply. "They live just a few blocks away, but they don't have enough for food. I don't know what to do anymore. We all try to help, but it's never enough." Angelina nodded, her heart sinking. She could see the weight of the world on the woman's shoulders. She took a deep breath and looked down at the boy again. His eyes, filled with so much hope, were locked on hers. "Come with me," she said softly. "We'll get you something to eat." The boy's face lit up, the sadness in his eyes replaced by a glimmer of relief. "Thank you. Thank you so much," he whispered. Angelina took the boy's hand and led him into a nearby cafe. It was a cozy, intimate spot with soft music playing in the background. As they entered, the staff immediately recognized the actress, and there was a flurry of excitement. But Angelina, focused entirely on the boy, didn't acknowledge the attention. She sat with him at a small table in the corner, ordering food for both of them. As they waited, she spoke gently to the boy, trying to learn more about his life. "What's your name?" she asked, offering him a warm smile. The boy looked up at her shyly. "My name's Jamie," he said quietly. "I'm 12. Angelina nodded, her heart aching as she listened to his story. He had been living with his single mother and father in a rundown apartment. His mother was ill, and his father had recently lost his job. Jamie had taken it upon himself to try and help, often skipping meals so that his parents could have more to eat. "I just wanted to help them," Jamie explained, his voice cracking, "but it's hard when there's nothing left to give." Angelina, deeply moved by his selflessness, placed a hand on his. "You're doing your best, Jamie. That's all anyone can ask for." The food arrived, and the boy immediately began eating, his hunger apparent. Angelina watched him, feeling both sadness and admiration for the young boy who had endured so much at such a young age. As they walked out of the cafe, The warm California sunlight bathed the streets, casting long shadows on the sidewalk. Jamie, once a boy filled with sadness and hunger, was now walking beside Angelina with a smile on his face. His eyes sparkled with hope, something that had been missing for too long. His once pale face now showed a hint of color, thanks to the meal and the kindness he had just experienced. Angelina kept a gentle hand on his shoulder, guiding him through the crowd of people. Unbeknownst to them, their interaction had caught the attention of several patrons who had quietly observed the exchange from their tables. A few had even captured the moment on their phones, recording the kindness that had unfolded in the small, cozy cafe. Within minutes, the video of Angelina feeding and comforting the boy began circulating on social media. The post went viral almost instantly, and news outlets quickly picked up on the story. By the time Angelina and Jamie reached the street corner, the news was already making waves. People everywhere were talking about the moment. Angelina Jolie helps homeless boy in Los Angeles, and a celebrity's act of kindness inspires millions. The story spread like wildfire. The emotional footage of Jamie's first smile in days, his gratitude shining through, captured the hearts of millions around the globe. It wasn't just the act of kindness that moved people, but the sincerity of the moment. It was raw and real, and it reminded people of the power of compassion. As the news reached Jamie's family, they were overwhelmed with emotion. The boy's mother, who had been so ill and worried about her son, watched the video with tears in her eyes. She never expected that their story would go public, let alone inspire such a massive outpouring of support. People from all corners of the world began reaching out, offering help. Donations flooded in, celebrities tweeted their support, charities pledged to assist Jamie's family. Within a few days, a crowdfunding campaign was set up to provide for Jamie's medical needs, his family's living expenses, and more. But the most touching part of all was the messages of hope from everyday people who had been inspired by this simple moment of kindness. For Angelina, this wasn't about the fame or the recognition. It was about the impact of that one act. It was about showing the world that compassion could transcend all boundaries, that even the smallest act of kindness could ripple out and inspire others. As she read through the messages pouring in, she felt a quiet satisfaction knowing that what had begun as an impulse, a moment of human connection, had sparked a global movement. The impact of Angelina's simple act of kindness was nothing short of astounding. It wasn't just a viral story, it was a worldwide phenomenon. Across social media platforms, hashtags like #Angelina Jolie Kindness and #Help Jamie were trending globally. The story of a famous actress, known for her humanitarian work, helping a young boy in need, resonated deeply with people from all walks of life. News outlets around the world covered the story, each adding their own spin, but always highlighting the same core message: the power of kindness. Major networks like CNN, BBC, and even local stations ran feature pieces, with interviews from those who had witnessed the moment firsthand. The story spread like wildfire across the globe. People from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds were moved by the simplicity and sincerity of the act. On social media, fans of Angelina and everyday users alike began sharing their own acts of kindness inspired by the viral story. It wasn't just about the boy or the celebrity, it was about the message that kindness could change the world. Ordinary people were doing extraordinary things, whether it was donating food to local shelters, helping a neighbor in need, or simply offering a kind word to a stranger. The world was waking up to the power of small gestures. In addition to the global social media reaction, celebrities from around the world began to weigh in. From fellow actors and musicians to athletes and public figures, everyone had something to say. Reese Witherspoon tweeted, "This is what humanity looks like. Let's do more of this." Chris Hemsworth shared the story on his Instagram, urging people to help those in need. The message was clear: if one act of kindness could inspire so many, perhaps the world could start a new movement, one driven by empathy, compassion, and human connection. But amidst the excitement and praise, Jamie's family remained humble. Jamie's mother gave her first public statement to the press, thanking Angelina and everyone who had helped. "We never imagined that this would happen," she said tearfully in an interview. "Angelina didn't just feed our son, she gave us hope. She showed us that there's still kindness in this world. She gave us the chance to dream again." The world had witnessed the extraordinary power of one person's compassion, and the ripple effect it caused had touched millions. Angelina, too, was moved by the response, but she remained focused on Jamie's journey. She had helped one child, but the world was now helping countless others. Weeks passed since that life-changing day at the cafe, and the difference in Jamie's life was palpable. His family had been moved to a new apartment, one that was warm, safe, and filled with the promise of a better future. The generosity of the donations allowed them to cover medical bills for Jamie's mother, who was now receiving the care she desperately needed. Jamie, once a boy burdened with worry and hunger, was thriving. He had regained weight, his cheeks flushed with health, and he was no longer the thin, frail child he had been. One afternoon, Jamie sat at a small desk in the corner of his room, carefully writing a letter. He had spent hours drafting the words, wanting to make sure he expressed his gratitude properly. The letter was addressed to Angelina Jolie. As he wrote, his heart swelled with emotion. He had never imagined that his life could change so dramatically, all because of a single act of kindness. In the letter, Jamie wrote, "Dear Angelina, I don't know where to start. You gave me more than food. You gave me hope. You helped me believe that things could get better. I don't know how to thank you enough for what you did for me and my family. You changed our lives forever. Thank you for being so kind and for showing me that there are good people in the world. I will never forget you." Jamie's mother, standing in the doorway, watched her son with tears in her eyes. She had never seen him so hopeful, so full of life. His smile had returned, and with it, the warmth that had been missing from their lives for so long. The letter, though simple, was a testament to how much they had been touched by the kindness of one person. After mailing the letter, Jamie and his mother sat down to watch the news, which was still covering the story. The global response had been overwhelming, and now, thanks to the kindness of strangers, Jamie was attending school again. For the first time in months, he didn't have to worry about where his next meal would come from. His mother was healthier, and the future no longer seemed so uncertain. Angelina, though busy with her humanitarian efforts, took a moment to read the letter Jamie had written to her. As she sat quietly holding the letter in her hands, a tear slipped down her cheek. She had always believed in making the world a better place, but this small act of kindness had shown her that even the tiniest gesture could change someone's life forever. For Jamie and his family, their lives had been transformed, and they had learned the true power of compassion. For the rest of the world, it was a reminder that no matter how big or small, kindness had the power to heal and inspire, one person at a time.